to God. Thank you so much, Pastor, and thank you everyone for having me here today, for lending your ear to listen to what I have to say, to listen to what experience I've had within the addiction community. I would like to start off by saying how blessed I am for my mother to have found the Seventh-day Adventist Church in such the right time. I was around 9 or 10 years old, and when we started going to church. I was around 12 years old when I first gave my life to Jesus, when I got baptized. And it's such a beautiful thing to see you give your life to Jesus, because it is an amazing experience. And I can tell you this much: you will be tempted greatly in many, many ways. You do not know how many ways that you will be tempted, but you have this whole family to care for you. You have an amazing spiritual leader, and it's very hard to find a spiritual leader like our pastor. So why am I so blessed to have grown since I was a teenager into the SDA church? Well, first of all, the age in which many start using is at age in between ages 12 and 17. And it starts off with marijuana. Something so simple, so light, right, as they say. Now, they go into the peak ages of 18 through 25. And then they start experimenting more. They start going with marijuana, then alcohol, then let me try some cocaine. Ooh, prescription drugs, they really relax you. Well, what if I don't have the money to obtain that drug? Oh, I have to study for a test. I need to make my parents proud. I'm going with Adderall. That's the next biggest thing. They even have group chats for these drugs. So common in one simple device. An iPhone, a flip phone, anything. Now, what does the SDA church offer? Pathfinders, adventures, all these clubs that keep you so entertained into developing skills. What are the causes in which, or what are the risk factors for anyone to start using drugs? Actually, I want to ask anybody who has never used a drug in their life. Anybody? All right, I'm going to ask you a question. How did you deal with your hardships to not go into drug addiction?
I probably relied on family, the church, school. I went away to academy and college.
So she kept herself motivated. Family is the first primary structure, social structure that you have to rely on. Spirituality is very, very huge. It's not just about friends. It's not just about going to school. It's about connecting with people in another level. It's having a higher power to look upon to. Because there's many things that we don't have an answer for. Why me when anything bad happens? It was 2011. It was in April, and I was doing my practicums in Saltillo, Mexico. It was an amazing experience. I was in a psychiatric unit, and for me, it was amazing just to see everything come to life, like textbook come to life. I was able to work closely with psychiatrists. I was able to actually help them correctly diagnose certain patients that were misdiagnosed and were medicated wrongly. So in that time, what happened was there was a huge, and it's still an ongoing fight in Mexico between the cartels, the Zetas, and the federales and the people. So you just never know when they're going to strike. I was just going to the bank to pick up money because I needed money to do a project. And it was bright daylight, 2 p.m., I remember correctly. It was a very beautiful, beautiful day. All of a sudden, I see people running just everywhere. And I just didn't understand why. And my body did not react. My mind didn't even react. People must be insane in this town. That wasn't the case. All of a sudden, I see this Tahoe. It was all black. Bullets everywhere. My mind did not even capture that. I was in shock. It was running on one rim. And there were two guys in the back shooting. I don't know what type of guns they had. It just happened so quick. Something told me to duck because this car just went into the intersection that I was at. I was standing in the corner and the car just slammed into 4 or 5 cars and just kept going, shooting behind them. Now behind them were 2 or 3 Federale cars shooting right straight at them. Bullets everywhere. Something in my mind told me, duck. Just duck and run. That's exactly what I did. Now I have asthma, so it was just much worse than me. For me, huge anxiety, overload. When everything calmed down, like a family took me in to refuge, gave me water. They did not let me leave till I calmed down. And when I was ready to get a taxi, because I'm like, I'm not taking the bus anymore. This is insane. So I see a bullet that would have went through my head. And that just like struck me in many ways. I could have died. I wouldn't even be here today if it wasn't for that voice that told me, duck. Later on that day, I did call my dad, and there are family issues. And in the worst moments, my father tells me, I'm leaving. I'm like, oh, well, that wasn't good to hear right now. So that just created PTSD for me. So much that it was just hard. It was just hard to keep a smile. It was just hard to keep up with my grades. It was just hard to even look forward to graduation. But I did because I had my mother, and I had a church family, and I had a church family university that really helped me get through all those hardships. I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to forget that day completely. And from what I heard from my cousins growing up, drugs or alcohol. They said they would forget, so why couldn't I try it? And I did. I was 21 years old. No excuses, but I did. And that just led to worse things, in which it was a horrible night for me. But God protected me. And I prayed. And He took me home safely with my roommates, with my colleagues, who helped me even more. It's important for every one of us to have friends, because without friends, without family, if we're isolated, there's no room to succeed. Sometimes people with addictions don't need anybody to tell them what to do. They just need to be heard. Because just listening helps them relieve that hurt. And that's where I want to jump to. I enjoy reading. I enjoy anything artistic. And as you can tell, anything artistic usually leads to an artist with a mental disorder. I want to read this. I have absolutely no pleasure in the stimulants in which I sometimes so madly indulge. It has not been in the pursuit of pleasure that I have perilled life and reputation and reason. It has been the desperate attempt to escape from torturing memories, from a sense of insupportable loneliness and a dread of some strange impending doom. Edgar Allan Poe, one of the greatest writers. There are all kinds of addicts. I guess we all have pain, and we all look for ways to make the pain go away. We have everything going on for us, and that's why I want my friend who came with me, my boyfriend, to read this text.
In Corinthians 10:29, 12, 13, it says, "No temptation has overtaken you except such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able, but with the temptation will also make the way of escape, that you may be able to bear it."
God understands what world we live in. He is not surprised by no temptation that we may not come upon. He knows that we are going to go through a lot of hardships, but he gives us his promise that he will be with us, that he will help us overcome it if we only kneel down and pray, if we only tell him exactly what's going on in our hearts, in our minds. Why is our minds racing? Now I want to go back to this. And just in between October 2017 and October 2018, no, I got that wrong. Between October 2016 and 2017, there were reportedly, okay, this is not counting the unreported, the deaths that are still under investigation, 2,879 people have died due to drug addiction here in Texas. In between 2017 and 2018, in October, counting October only, reportedly 2,903. Only 0.8 percentage change, and I'm glad it's not too high, but that's only the reported cases. And the main drugs that they can find: heroin, opioids, stimulants. Heroin is a big issue. Opioids are worse, because opioids we can get them from any doctor. And doctors, there's this show on Netflix, a documentary, I should say. It is titled Prescription Thugs. It interviews housewives. Has anybody ever thought that a housewife would be an addict? That's what they asked this lady. And she said, no, I didn't even know I was a drug addict until my children pointed it out to me. So much that she would steal her daughter's Adderall, and she was diagnosed with ADHD or ADD. Sometimes it starts out innocently. I just need to focus. Sometimes it starts as innocent as, oh, I hurt my arm, or I fractured my hand, and the doctor told me it was okay. And yes, it was okay, but not enough to continue with it, because there's other forms of treatment. Now, I did ask who never had any taste of drugs and how they overcame that temptation. One of the main risk factors is that we don't have appropriate coping skills. Very important is, and we as Seventh-day Adventists know this, exercise, water, eating healthy, a lot of greens. It is reported that in Loma Linda, there's a higher life expectancy because of the lifestyle that they continue or portray. And it doesn't matter what age you are, exercise is necessary. I don't know about you guys, but the gym for me or exercising for me, it just helps me relieve that stress, that wandering mind, that sometimes you cannot stop those negative thoughts and you just can't handle them being at home, sitting down, watching TV. And sometimes just getting on that treadmill or even going outside and breathing some good air will help you to relieve that and to know that everything is going to be okay. There's other coping skills, not just exercise. There's painting, there's drawing, there's writing, there's reading, exploring, traveling, so forth. Now, what are the protective factors? The caregiver involvement and monitoring. Parents, it is okay to invade your children's privacy. It is okay. They need it. They need to know that mom and dad are there, that they're interested in their lives. I know sometimes a 5-year-old will tire somebody's ears by talking about new experiences or repeating something that you had said and that they thought it was so smart that they want to tell you like it came from them. Yeah, they just want you to be interested in whatever they have to say. And it is important to elevate that because you're just giving them confidence. You're giving them confidence that it's okay to confide in me. It's okay to talk to me. I will give you that patience. And we learn that patience from God. Now, another thing is being involved in their activities. My mom was in every Pathfinder's ceremony. She always, I didn't want to wake up. I promise, I did not want to wake up, but she made me wake up every single Sunday to go to Pathfinder's activities. And she made sure that all my uniform was correctly put on, that all the patches were on correctly, and I was just on point. And that was very important for me. That showed me that I needed that she was interested in everything that I had to do. And not only that, but being involved in basketball or just simply as to what I want to do with my life. And it was a constant question within the family dinner, family setting. Another thing is emotional regulation, is understanding our emotions. Why are we angry? It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be mad. What's not okay is how we express it in a negative manner with violence. If we can express it with words, if we can understand why, then we can resolve the problem. Why are we sad? Why don't we want to talk to this person? Or why does this person make me uncomfortable? Why am I happy today? What made me happy? How can I continue this positive feeling? Physical safety and social inclusion. Again, no isolation. It's not pointing fingers. It's not labeling anybody. Just because somebody has a problem with alcohol doesn't mean that it doesn't give anybody the right to point fingers at that person. It doesn't give anybody the right to tell them what's wrong with them, that they need to do something about it, because they know. Trust me, they know. They know that they have to work on themselves every single day. And it's hard, and it's something that we did speak about this morning, how drugs and alcohol causes a neurological function, a disease, and it's irreversible. And they have to go through years of treatment in order to rewire their brain to function within society without drugs and alcohol. Another thing is safe neighborhoods. I gave an example, and I do give an example about my life because that's what I know the best. But from what I've seen and people that I've worked with is I grew up in a bad neighborhood. I was prone to do this. If I didn't, they were going to jump me. If I didn't, they were going to hurt my mom. They were going to hurt my dad. They're going to hurt my little brother or my little sister. So they had to do it. And they couldn't rely on the cops because if anybody went to the cops, something bad happened to the family or to the neighborhood. You just never know. Quality school environments. Another blessing we have in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. You know, Montemorelos was the first Christian university that I ever attended. And it was the best university, the best experience. Because there I learned about morals. There I learned about that I was not alone. And that it was okay to go through temptation. But it's also okay to not to speak about it and to have friends. It's okay to have friends. Because trust me, sometimes growing up in bad neighborhoods, what parents end up telling you is that you have no friends. And that's not true. What are the risk factors? Trauma and childhood adversity. Is child abuse and neglect. Abuse in every sense. Sexual abuse, emotional, verbally, physically, psychologically. Constantly saying those negative words at home will create an issue for that individual. Mental health problems, poverty, peer substance use, and drug availability. That's another interesting thing that I saw in this documentary, Prescription Thugs. Prescription Thugs is, well, my parents use opioids. It's in the norm. It's something that everybody does, so I might as well do it. Negative school climate, bullying, cyberbullying, you name it. And sensation seeking. They said it was fun, so I might as well try it too. That's why I encourage parents to really stay involved in your kids' activities, to embrace their individuality, whatever they want to do, meaning artistically, in sports, and academically, in anything, but push them, motivate them, show them. You know, when my mom got here in the U.S., when she was about 28 years old, Spanish was her second language. Otomi was her first language, which is an indigenous language. That was my first language too. Then Spanish, and then English. And she didn't know how to read. But every time I came home from school, she would tell me, "Mija, tell me what did you learn in school?" And I would tell her, and she would keep washing the dishes, do whatever she needed to do, but she never shut me up. And I guess that's what made me who I am today, because she helped me learn that I had a voice and that I had something to contribute to society. So I would like to leave you guys on this note, and I will be here in between 2 and 4. I have worked in methadone clinics. I have worked closely with heroin addicts, mostly. I have worked in treatment centers with kids who do have an addiction very early on. And it's all due to foster care. It's all due to, unfortunately, Child Protective Services being involved. I know, I know it from seeing it and working closely with this type of population. And it does take years. All it takes is a lot of patience and understanding. And just be a friend. One more thing. I learned this from Pastor Alejandro Bullon, a very well-known Hispanic preacher. And he said this: the best way to help anybody, an alcoholic, just go, you don't have to drink. Just go to a bar and just sit there. You don't have to convert them immediately. You first have to be their friend. They have to trust you first, because once they learn how to trust you, they learn how to trust God, because we trust God. And I keep that in mind in everywhere that I go and anything that I do. Thank you very much, and have a good Sabbath.